Hello all, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to see how to use write variables in cloud integration to store last sync date time. Also, we are going to see how we can control the iFlow to run in auto mode or manual mode. The iFlow will be able to sync data for delta changes and full changes. So before starting, let's look at Postman. So currently I am using Northwind service, and as you can see I am trying to query employees entity, and I am selecting a few fields, namely employee ID, hire date and country. Also I have put up filter on hire date, so I want to get records where hire date is greater than this date. So let's make it a reasonable date. So probably I can put 1993, and I want the format to be in JSON, the response format, and I am also ordering the records in descending orders of hire date. So if I just hit send now, I'll get a few records. Okay. Also, if I have written a small test, so which will give me the number of records that I am getting in console. So currently I got 6 records. Okay. Now if I change the date to 1990, we got 9 records. And in the body, as you can see, we just retrieved the fields that we wanted: employee ID, hire date and country, and all the fields are sorted in descending order based on the value of hire date. So currently we can see we have records from 1992 to 1994, and we have total 9 records. So let's first implement this part in cloud integration. Let's move to cloud integration now. Okay, so here in cloud integration screen, so this iFlow would be timer based. So let's take timer from the source event, and then just first we are trying to replicate the same that we have done in Postman. So this will be a request reply step, and we'll be connecting it to Northwind. And just put the end message here. Now the query part should go to query options, and then resource will take it from here and put it here. And yeah, this is the server path, and proxy type is internet, authentication is none. We don't need the CSRF protection. When we are trying to query employees, and when trying to select these fields, and we are trying to put filter on this field hire date, and we are trying to format in JSON. That's not required, because whatever we'll get inside CPI in XML format. So the OData adapter will convert the response payload, whether it's in Atom or JSON, to XML internally. So that's why we remove that format. Yes. So let's try to run this and see if we're able to get some data. So I have enabled the trace now, and let's see if we have got any data. So you can see we got actually 9 employees, right? 9 records. Now let's continue from where we have left. So here we have hard coded this value. So we are going to remove this hard coding and we are going to put property dot any property name we can put. So I am giving it as last sync. Okay. Here. Now I need to declare that property. So I am adding a content modifier step. And here I can add the property with the same name, last sync. Let me verify the name again. Just copy and paste so that I can confirm it's the same. Okay. So this value actually we are going to save in a write variable, and whenever next run happens, we need to pull that value from the write variable, read it, and use it in the OData call. So source type would be local variable. Okay, there are two types of variables available. One is global variable, one is local variable. So local variable means that particular variable is only accessible by this iFlow. Global variable means that variable is accessible by all the iFlows. Means from any iFlow you can call or read the global variable well. But for local variable, it can be read only in the iFlow if we have used that write variable palette. So here we are using local variable, and here in the source value we have to put the write variable name. So I'm just putting LV, then last sync, and the default value I can put 1990 0101, then T0000. Okay. So here we are trying to face the value of the write variable named LV underscore last sync and put it in a property named last sync. Okay. Now you can also see that I have defined the default value. What does it mean? So for the first time run, the write variable will not have any values because we haven't saved any value. So for that case, we are defining the default value. So for the first time run, our last sync value would be 1990 0101 T 000009. Now I want to, so after fetching the record, if any new records are found, then I want to save that particular value. Okay. So first put the router probably to check whether we have received any new records or not. Okay. Okay. So this will be default part and I just want to end that part, no operation. But for here, you need to check if the if any new employee records are found or not. So I can just put employees. I think the node name was employees. Okay. And then I can use the write variable. I can use the write variable. Here I am not going to check this global scope. If I don't check this, then it means the local variable type is constant, means if you are hard coding the value directly, but in this case actually we are taking the value from XPath expression. So LV, so this variable name should be same as what we have put here, right? And the XPath expression, so if you remember, the hire date field will have the latest hire date along the records. For all the records, we need to retrieve the latest hire date. So basically, as you can see, we have sorted our records in a way so the first record will have the latest hire date, and in this case it's going to take the first record only and save it here, save it in a write variable. So let's run this first and can verify the. Okay, let's see the trace now. So here we can see it went to route 1 and I want to verify the payload that I received. Yeah, so it has employees and inside employees we have employee. So the root should be employee. Let me see in the router what we have defined. So this is not correct, because irrespective of whether, if there is no record present, the root node will be there, and that will be employees. So our check should be employee instead of employees. Okay, and then this has saved in right variable. Okay, let's check the right variable value also. So here we are in the monitoring screen, and from here under manage stores we will have variables, and if I click on the variable, I'll see, yeah, there is a variable named lv underscore last sync, and if I click on this, I'll get the latest added value. Okay, so for now I am going to delete this actually, because we need to change some parts of the code, right? Instead of the employee in the root, you should put employee, and then we'll rerun it again. So I am in the iFlow again, and then we need to change this value, right? And then again we can deploy. Okay, I'm going to deploy this. Okay, I'm in the trace again, and now we can see here we're expecting the same result actually. This is the first run because we had deleted the local variable, and also we can see the value that it picked up. As I said, that will be your default value. That's the last sync value. Last sync property value is 1990, right? So it has picked up that last sync value, and then it retrieved the data. Okay, now as you can see, the latest hire date is 15th November 1994, and that we should see in our local variable. So I'm going back to monitoring again. Okay, in the local variable, and that's the value that we should receive. Now I'm going to run the flow again. Deploy, yes. Now this time we are not respecting any new records, so as expected it went to root 2, where it's just ending the call and we are not updating the right variable. Okay, and here also, as you can see, if I go to the properties one, so last sync date is 1994 15th of November. So yeah, we have
configured this part where we are saving our last sync date time, or what we can say, the latest update or latest modified date time in write variables.
Okay, I am again in iFlow design mode, and one more thing we can do before we move to the next part. We can externalize this default value. So we can put this and save it. Now if I just click configure button, then this parameter will appear and we can just directly manipulate this value using configure button. Okay. Now next part is, apart from this we want to have a manual control. So for this iFlow, the first run will get all the records based on a date that we've defined in the default value, and from the next run it will receive the delta records, and it is based on the timer, so we can schedule based on our requirement. Currently it's run once, so I have to manually deploy it. But if we go to scheduler, you can put schedule to recur, and you can put daily and then probably every 30 minutes. So based on require, and between 0 to 24 hours. So based on requirement, we can schedule it and keeping it as run once. So next part is, we want to introduce manual control. So I'm going to add one field called is manual. So by default, it will be false, but in case we need to one value that's not in the right variable, then we'll use the manual mode. And that's for the case when the iFlow is already running uh, in like probably 50th run or 60th run, but I want to retrieve data based on a particular date that I provide, not what that is stored in right variable. Okay, so if it is a first run, then it's no problem, we can directly define. But if it is a second run, then the control is not with us, because the data will be retrieved based on the value that's in the right variable. Another possibility is to like delete the right variable content and then change the default value to our desired value and run it again. But that's not the feasible solution in production environment, right? So we can't just delete any right variable values directly for production environment and then change the default value. So that's the last lot of steps. So we can introduce this new field so that we have control. So let's start with is manual. So by default, it will be false. If we want to run it in a manual mode, then we can make this value as true. So we can put a router over here, okay, to check whether it's a manual mode and or it's a auto mode. So based on that, it will do the operation. So in the, if it is a manual mode, right, Then I want to replace the value of this particular property with my desired value. So let's put another variable, another property actually. So you can call it as manual run. Okay, and here I can provide, right, I look for manual run. See here we can provide any date, that you can put 1993 05, or let's just check first. Okay, so if I want to retrieve values for employees who were hired after 1994, 010130. So this is the value. So there are actually 3 records that satisfy this condition. Okay, so there will be another route. So here if it is a manual mode, then we want to replace that value, and if it is a default mode, that is the auto mode, that we don't want to do anything. Okay, yeah, so let's save it. Okay, so here this will be our manual mode. Can just put manual, right, and this will be our auto mode. And we can put mode check. Okay, so for manual mode, I can replace the last sync property value with the value that I have manually defined, that is manual run. Okay, and now I have to put the router conditions. So auto mode is default mode, I can just check default route. For manual mode, I can define a property condition as property dot. So we'll be checking whether is manual is true or not, right? And I can form a Regex expression. So we can define condition as true or probably yes or X. So here what we are saying, okay, we are saying if is manual property value is true or yes or X, then it means it's a manual mode. Then execute this path, else it will execute this path. Okay, and this is for making the check case insensitive. Okay, so let's configure it so that it runs on manual mode. So I'm going to put true here, and I'll deploy this. Okay, I'll deploy this and we'll go to monitoring. So I have opened the trace. So as you can see, it followed manual mode path, and then it actually picked up the lasting value as this one, that what we have defined in manual run, and at the end actually we got only 3 records. Yeah, that's all for this video. Thank you.